all eyes are on Montpelier as the Vermont legislative session gets underway. Lawmakers have a lot of work cut out for them with a looming double-digit tax increase on the table this year if costs aren't cut. Here's a recap from day one from our James Maloney.
Lawmakers back in the State House for what's expected to be another tough session.
We must remember that the people of Vermont are asking us for progress, not perfection.
Per tradition, new lawmakers in both the House and Senate were seated in their new roles. The House had one order of unfinished business, sending a vetoed bill that would have replaced the emergency housing program back to committee. Another reminder to Democrats coming into the session again without a supermajority.
We are working with our partners across the table to come up with a plan that Vermonters will agree to.
More than 60 bills have been introduced in the House and over 50 in the Senate, all related to a variety of issues, including Act 250 housing appeals, health care, and public safety. They were assigned to their respective committees. Work on education is expected to continue with law from last session spurred by rising property taxes.
Right now, our job and what we're asking people to do is to get refreshed on what was in Act 73, to do a deep dive of the task force and begin to look at maps.
Senate Leader Philip Baruth saying he will introduce a bill that would cap excess spending from school districts. Members of his own party are hesitant to pledge support.
To further add on to that, at what is sort of late in the process for the budget, the way schools do budgeting, would be a real challenge.
We have too many districts for what we have. The other thing is we have too many adults in the classroom. We just do.
Well, affordability is a top priority for state lawmakers. Here's what Senate leaders on both sides of the aisle are saying about it.
We're going to have to do two things. One is a buy down, as the governor has suggested, and the other is we're going to have to reduce the amount of spending on education in the state of Vermont this year. Those two things, if we do both, we can get the tax rates to a level that I think Vermonters can live with for now until the long-term structural change.
If we're going to buy down the rate this year, we have to pair it with cost containment in the educational system that starts now, not that starts 5 years from now or 4 years from now. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves in a situation where the general fund is bled dry.
Meantime, lawmakers in New York are back in Albany, where the legislative session began on Wednesday. This year, there's a new face in the Assembly chamber. Michael Cashman, who represents New York's 115th district, says his top priority is affordability. Specifically, he wants to make sure that companies cannot charge people excessive fees like for utilities. He's also outlining other issues on his agenda, many of them he campaigned on.
We're focused on housing, making sure that we're protecting seniors so that they can age with dignity and respect in their homes, that we're making homes affordable for new homeowners. But it's also being serious about safety, making sure that our EMTs and first responders and our CEOs are being looked after. And it's also planning for our future.
Cashman says he also wants to continue building relationships with the people he represents in the district. When he's not in session, he plans on traveling around Clinton, Franklin, and Essex counties to directly hear from his constituents and carry their concerns to Albany. This coming week will be a big one in Albany. Governor Kathy Hochul is set to deliver her State of the State address on Tuesday. In Vermont, Governor Phil Scott delivered his State of the State speech this past week, spending his entire time at the podium talking about education reform.
The opening of the second half of the biennium gives governors a chance to report on the state of the state, reflect on what we've done and what we still have to do.
Governor Phil Scott not wasting any time during his 2026 State of the State speech, addressing his top priority, education reform.
Last year, we took a historic and long overdue step forward. Act 73 was a result of good policy work, compromise, and importantly, a willingness to admit the old system no longer serves Vermont. Because of your courage, it's finally possible to build something better. But that progress is not guaranteed. And we've seen this movie before. Act 60 focused mostly on funding rather than the system itself. Act 68 only addressed the property tax burden, not the growth in spending. Act 46 made small changes to governance, but avoided dealing with quality and outcomes. What's been missing is the political will to address the problem with a comprehensive approach. Because how it's organized, where resources are prioritized, and who is accountable for results are all intertwined. When costs rise and pressure builds, the approach has been to find that quick and easy fix. Throw more money at it, wrap it in duct tape, and hope it all holds. And every time, the result is higher costs and higher taxes, while student outcomes fall short.
The governor is encouraging lawmakers to continue working on Act 73 by drawing new district maps and reducing the state's 119 school districts down to just a handful. It's a move that he believes will strengthen schools and make them more equitable for kids across the state.
Some schools have well over 1,000 students. Others have less than 50. And in those small schools, they also offer fewer courses, and teachers are stretched thin, often covering multiple subjects and grade levels. And because our funding formula doesn't actually provide equity, many schools are underfunded, even though, on average, we have among the highest per pupil spending in the country. Here are some real examples to think about. In today's system, a student in one district can choose from 102 courses, and in another, a student has 73. That's a third fewer learning opportunities based only on where they live. We also have two schools in the same county, one with 700 students, and one with 100. The larger one offers 17 foreign language courses. The smaller school has just 4. And there are kids from different districts who take the same course at their regional tech center, but don't get the same credit towards graduation. This isn't meaningful local control. It's significant inconsistency, unequal opportunity, and frankly, it's just not fair.
The governor highlighting the benefits of reforming the system, which is expected to cost taxpayers $2.5 billion this year.
It will expand pre-K, so our youngest students have a solid foundation. It will increase equity, so everyone is offered a wide range of courses and programs across the state. It will expand CTE, so more kids have access to the trades and the great careers that come along with it. It will increase salaries for teachers who are paid less than their peers in more affluent areas. Act 73 will deliver the targeted support students need and build a structure to carry out other reforms, to provide universal after-school programs, focus on stronger literacy, create accountability, increase quality, and much, much more. When you passed this law last year, you took a stand for your constituents who said, enough is enough. And you chose a better future for our kids. And for that, I thank you.
And now the work continues as lawmakers roll up their sleeves in Montpelier. Well, the governor's speech is getting some mixed reaction from lawmakers and from school leaders. NBC5's Jackson Stover checks in with them.
And change the fate of this brave little state for the better.
A fate that's once again in the hands of Vermont's elected officials, who return to the State House this week for the 2026 legislative session.
This has already felt like the longest winter ever, and I'm hoping that this session doesn't feel like the longest session ever.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle weighing in on the governor's State of the State address Wednesday.
I thought it was good.
And the single issue that was covered in his speech, education reform.
The reason the governor used his entire speech to focus just on this one issue, just on this one bill, is that it's going to be probably more difficult than anything we've done in the last few years.
Others noting the issues that were left out.
It's certainly a big issue, but like I was saying, there are other issues on the table too.
Some in attendance were surprised that Scott exclusively talked education reform and had hoped to hear his vision in bringing down healthcare costs and combating the housing crisis. Others applauding the governor's shift in priorities on day one.
We really need to focus on education.
with some criticism on the language he used when outlining his Act 73 goals, which came across as an ultimatum to some lawmakers: it's Scott's way or the highway.
I never agree with a veto threat because I'm the one being threatened.
Meaning he won't sign off on anything that deviates away from Act 73, the sweeping education reform bill that passed last session.
Harder. It absolutely makes it harder.
House Speaker Jill Krawinski worries the governor's approach will make it harder to get people to come to the table.
My hope is that we are coming to the table assuming good intent and wanting to make good change.
Also in attendance Wednesday, Don Tinney, president of the Vermont National Education Association. He appreciates the governor's push to promote a good education in the state and shared what he's been hearing on the ground. He says the solution is cut and dry.
We don't have the resources that we once had, and so what we're hoping is that the legislature will really take on the issue of providing real property tax relief for middle-class Vermonters and move education funding away from the property tax and put it on an income tax.
Regardless, legislators are ready to hit the ground running.
I am into making sure that we get a bill across the finish line.